Welcome to this new edition of my computational photography presentation. So this time it's going to be for the 1 month period between the 15th of May and 15th of April and 15th of May. And again, I'll be talking about some pictures and say what they meant, what they're about, and yeah, I'll just rant and rave. For example, with those two first pictures. So basically, when I develop my software, my image manipulation algorithms, I go back to the basics. I like to be in a place which I find comfortable. In that case, I'm in my kitchen for this picture. I might be in different other places, but so basically, I start developing by trying to put a place. For example, on the left image, I'm going to start segmenting my image and start working in some ways or another in how I map the data and how I start manipulating the data. So image on the right, on the left, that's basically my first shot at making a module, a software module. And then basically you'll have lots of images like the one on the right. This one I find interesting, but so I need a place which is quite comfortable and where I feel good, not great, but good, to be able to work on so many images that don't look nice, because it's going to take a lot of iterations until I get something concrete. Also, when I develop my new modules, my new computational techniques, I try to inspire myself with what I've done before, try to find new ideas on how to transform the data, composing a picture. So basically trying to find a new process means I have to work on the older ones. And here's 3 pictures. On the far left, that's the Haben insaturator with a filmulator on top. In the middle, that's interesting. It's a Haben insaturator without any filmulators. So here you see, I usually don't have those pictures. I rarely take pictures without the analog simulation final layer. But sometimes I do, because I like to understand even the things I've already coded, or even the modules I've already coded. I continue practicing with them. And on the far right, I'm trying to practice now. That's Haben with the filmulator on top. I'm definitely working on using those modules and software like I would with any other camera apparatus. I try to make composition, try to tell stories. For those of you who follow my other monthly presentation about normal photography, yeah, I work in a similar fashion, nothing revolutionary different. Again, working with Haben, trying other filmulators, trying to practice with this new gear software, but I still consider it gear. Or even with older insaturators like the Argable insaturator on the right picture, which slightly displaces the color maps. Again, before developing a new module, developing a new computational method, I try to practice and find inspiration by practicing with older ways of using my software. So here that's 2 tentatives of multi-exposition. And on the right, that's using Morkmol. Interestingly here, I kind of like this picture. I'm taking a picture using the Morkmol insaturator, again using the Camare app. And that's the elements that are going to be engraved in the cover of a book on a project I had in 2007 on digital matter, which was named The Booty Machine. I found interesting to have this filter and image transformation on a project already talking about image transformation in digital ways, but who's being basically cut out. So these are cutouts. They're going to be engraved in the book cover. Yeah, I found interesting the mix of ideas, the concept I kind of liked. Now here's the three pictures. First picture on the left, again, experimenting with what I've already done, trying to find new ideas. The semi-insaturator with the filmulator on top. The middle picture, again, is a semi-insaturator. That's a good example here. The picture on the right, that's the same picture using the experimental editor in Camare. But here using the insaturator named Booty, which is inspired from what the software I did for the 2007 project, whose book we saw the elements for the cover just before. Anyways, it's not at all the same story depending on what software elements you use. So that's why when looking for a new way to encode, it's important to go through all those experiments. Again, here, left photo, I was working on, I was getting kind of bored because I was presenting some photos that were made with the Camare app and those computational software methods. That was at the Geneva International Photo Festival. The exhibit was at the Brighton Moser Gallery for the collective, the photocollective.net collective. So there were a few pictures presented there at that exhibit. And I was getting bored because it was my time to keep the gallery. And while getting bored, I took pictures. I was wondering how I could modify and find a new module. So I used Camare on the left, and in the middle picture is also Morkmal, but using the digital Paula app, this app which is not yet out, but which is a completely new engine, revamped engine, way faster, that hopefully will get out soon. And so I finally started on the far right. So that's actually the first shot at this new insaturator, which will be named Bomber Baba. Don't ask me why. And at first I thought, let's go on in the black and white field, the black and white world. And so I know what's going on behind, but I'm already decomposing and modifying the image in such a way, which I found was a nice, interesting idea. But the result is quite disappointing on this first version. But that was just for me to be able to give you a glimpse of what comes out. Often you'll see later what the end results are. At the same time, I'm also working, this last month I've been working on, I've got a lot of requests to make a photo editor. So not simply making photo taking software, but some kind of software that would enable people to rework their photos using my image computational science. So I'm again, I have to experiment. I've done some kind of basic editor which enables me to use photos from other cameras, and I'm really trying to find first a good reason to do that software, because that's not what I find most interesting. Re-editing pictures in post-processing software. I like taking the picture, thinking about what algorithm you're using. And at the same time, I want the user experience to make sense, and the final result also to have some sense. So here I've tried using a source image from a Leica SL2. So it's a 47 megapixel picture, and gone through the semi-insaturator and an overlay of some kind of filmulator. I don't know which one. Again, working on finding a good reason and how to do a good photo editor post-processor. Here I used on the left a picture coming out of a Leica M8. That's a Californian coast between San Francisco and LA. With a Summerit M50mm f2.5 lens. Putting it into this basic embryonic editor software I've developed just to see if it made sense. That's an iterative process using all those insaturators and filmulators I've developed. And actually, I'm starting to find I'm starting to have an idea of how I want to do a post-processing software. Again, here, the far left picture is from an M8, Leica M8 with a Camare M f2.5 50mm lens. Again, using my usual insaturators and filmulators, as I would with Camare or Digital Paula or Darkcam or Vika. I'm starting to find some ideas of how to make that editor. There's so many editors already out there. I don't see the use of making one extra if it's not to bring something different. So again, here, that's a picture on the far left. Original picture is Leica M240 with the Summicron 50mm f2.0 lens. Again, putting it into this new embryonic editor I've made just to experiment. There's an infinite possibilities that come up to mind. So I'm slowly getting towards something. So I'll be probably developing something in the near future. Again, going back to this Bomber Baba new insaturator, I'm still experimenting in my real life with pre-existing modules and looking at what I could make differently or how I could develop that concept I've had for the Bomber Baba insaturator. So far left, that's a picture taken with the Morkmall insaturator with a filmulator overlay. And the middle one and the right one, that's with the semi-insaturator. Two of my favorite insaturators, I must say. Again, on the far left, that's Morkmall. The middle picture, that's Haben. And finally, from all that experimental practice, I decided the far right picture is my second shot at the Bomber Baba insaturator. I've decided to go to color. I started going into black and white, but color made more sense for what I was envisioning in terms of transforming the data behind. The computational idea was, is quite clear, but how do you express it in a way that makes your picture sensual and nice? So first, that's the first generation of this Bomber Baba, which I really took outside. I felt like it was nice. It rendered something interesting. So those three pictures is really the first pictures I've taken with this new module, this new insaturator. And yeah, pretty quickly thought I like the rendering, and I like what's going underneath in terms of data transformation. It doesn't come out, actually. My idea was for it to be explicit in the optical form, but I know what's going on, but I don't think I think we actually see more of this Haben filter. It looks like the Haben filter in the way I've expressed it here. So I took a few more pictures, and here again you see that for those who've been using my modules and my software, actually I think Haben in that style is more interesting. Very similar, but more interesting. And basically the concept I had definitely doesn't come out clearly with this way of rendering my images. So back to the drawing board. Those three pictures are basically me going back to how I manage colors and intensities and all the data underneath the picture. So again, practicing on whatever's on my desk or outside. And you get some interesting results in the process. Some of those pictures I do keep and will probably use in the future. Actually, the exhibit at the festival is the Photo Genève Festival, which is the Photo Geneva Festival. One of the frames was only presenting random photos taken while developing. So, yeah. And then finally, I got to the point where I think my idea comes out better now. That's the second generation of this Bomber Baba insaturator. So it's basically the same engine, software engine, computational engine behind, but the way it expresses is different. And that's the same picture using the Camare editor, using 3 different filmulators, but it's the same insaturator. And And yeah, the image is actually treated in a way, we're going to see it better with the three next pictures. I'm trying to represent the complexity of the data in the image in a sensual and aesthetic way. So actually the filter, the process is going to really render the image differently if there's very high amounts of information underneath or not. And we can actually pretty well see it on the middle picture with the trees on the right and the middle part of the picture. There's obviously more information there, so more information is going to be rendered differently than less information. The same for the artifacts you see around electrical lines. I was in the train, I was just practicing with this first, version I was happy with for the Bomba Baba insaturator. And you can basically see that where there's more information, the image is definitely not rendered the same, the different check sections, than the parts of the picture where there's less underlying data. So yeah, that's where I am now. That was the 15th of May. And that module is still not distributed in my apps, so I'm the only one being able to use it. I still need to fine-tune it. I'm not happy with some of the ghost effects that come out of the process. And also there's a lack of that modulation I like to integrate into my algorithms. So it's not really fine-tuned yet. So probably next month it will be released, so you'll have the follow-up to this development. But yeah, I hope this presentation was nonetheless interesting. And if you have comments or questions, don't hesitate to post them below. And see you next time.